What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Good Wolf Project. Today, I want to talk to you about not substituting other people's mind for your mind. Yes, it's just me today. Nobody here to have a conversation with, but I want to have a conversation with your brain. I want to have a conversation with your mind today. And I want to try and wake it up so that it quits sleeping through life and quits sleeping through conversations and quits sleeping through making decisions so that it can start building a life for you instead of letting life happen to you. So many people live life in a passive way, where they make decisions based on either those around them or the opinions of people that maybe they shouldn't actually be listening to. And it's important to understand that this happens because if you don't become aware, then you're not able to change it. This happens to everybody. You're not a bad person if you're making decisions based on what other people say or do or what other people are doing, or because you happen to be listening to the wrong person. You're not the first person to do it. You're not going to be the last person to do it. And there are more people who do that than don't do it. So it actually takes a very conscious effort in order to overcome the pull to want to make decisions based on other people. So you have to be okay with understanding that that's where you're starting. You're starting with making decisions based on other people. And now we're going to start to move away from that. And we're going to start to move to building a life in a purposeful way and making decisions in a purposeful way and thinking more critically about things and not taking things blindly and actually looking at them in a different manner and a different perspective. There are two big ways in which people substitute other people's minds for their mind. One is through conformity, one is through blind trust. Blind trust can be in people in certain positions who seem like they have a level of power, so you think you should trust what they're saying, or people who seem to have a certain level of expertise, so you should trust what they're saying. Or it could be someone that you're just close with and you have a level of trust with them. So I want to look at both of those things, conformity and blind trust, break them down and see where we can start to make changes so that we can start to think more critically for ourselves, make more decisions for ourselves, wake our minds up, wake our brains up in there, and actually start living a life on purpose. So when it comes to conformity, the reason that we conform to society and conform to groups, if you will, is because we want to be accepted. We are tribal beings, we are tribal animals. And as tribal animals, we want to be accepted by those around us. So we'll find ways to change ourselves sometimes to be accepted by a group. And when we find a group and it feels like we're going to be accepted by them, we'll start to change ourselves in order to actually totally fit in. And we can see this on the extreme end, and we can see this on kind of a normal end. On the normal side, you can think of like just your kids are like maybe getting into school and you're starting to be around the parents, and the parents are acting a certain way and they're being a certain way, and so you start to be that way as well. You start to be whatever, you kind of develop a different kind of demeanor, or maybe obviously you start wearing the school's colors and start cheering for the sports and all of that. Like that's natural, but maybe you start to actually change your demeanor a little bit because the parents have a different demeanor, so you kind of adjust yourself to that. On the extreme end is what's seems to be very prevalent in society today, is choosing to be a man or a woman. I don't know who decided that you can choose to be a man or a woman, but it seems to be very popular these days. And in so doing, a lot of people choose, quote unquote, choose to be a man or a woman based on acceptance of a group. If you feel more accepted, if you're a woman and you feel more accepted being a man in that group, then that's what you're going to do, and vice versa. So sometimes we make very extreme decisions and change ourselves in very extreme decisions. And then a lot of times, more often than not, we make it in more subtle ways, in more nuanced ways. Now, both of them can be very dangerous because what's really happening whenever we conform to a group, whenever we conform ourselves. Conform yourself is what you're doing. You're changing yourself to inherit the values of the group. When you do that, you are then covering up yourself. You are covering up you are demeaning and degrading your self-esteem and your self-worth to yourself. To yourself. You're doing that so that you can be accepted by them. But you are degrading your self-worth and your self-meaning and your self-esteem to yourself. And you are the most important person. You are the most important person on this earth to impress. And if you are conforming to those around you to impress them and not to impress you, then you will not believe in yourself and you will not reach outside of yourself and you will not go beyond your current level of capabilities because you don't trust yourself and you don't believe in your capabilities to do it because you're trying to be somebody else that you're not, and you're trying to conform to a group in which maybe you find some comfort in some of their values, but you don't find comfort in all of their values. And that is a lie. And when you live a lie, you cannot be successful in life. You cannot grow beyond a certain level if you are living a lie for yourself. So in conforming, the danger is in that, the danger. And I say danger on purpose. The danger in that is that you degrade yourself to the point where you're just so busy trying to be part of a group and impress everybody else that you don't even have any trust or faith in yourself and who you are because you don't have any freaking clue who you actually are anymore. And that's a very dangerous place to be. And that's a hard place to dig out of. So it's worth paying attention to. And we're going to talk a little bit in how you can start to make some changes, but it's worth paying attention to those decisions when you do that. Because like I said, some of them are explicit. They're very purposeful. You do them and you do them on purpose, but it still has that degrading effect. Some of them are implicit, meaning that it's not purposeful necessarily. You just kind of start to conform to the group. It just kind of, you meld in and it kind of happens. Even though maybe you still don't actually hold the values and the beliefs that this group has, or you don't have, that's not the person that you actually are, but you still kind of like unconsciously just kind of just meld into it. So that's one way. Conformity is one way where you're trying to be accepted by the group, be accepted by the tribe, but what you're really doing is degrading your personality, your self-esteem, your identity, and your self-worth. Very dangerous place to be. And then on the other side of that, or I guess on the same side, but just in a different category, is blind trust. Is blind trust in the people that you trust to give you information. Now, what we want whenever we just blindly trust somebody in their opinion, this is directly correlated to things that impact your life, decisions that you're going to make that are going to impact your life. Now, if someone's just telling you something and it's like, it doesn't really impact your life and you're not going to do anything about it. Oh, hey, I heard this person did blah, 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 blah. Okay, whatever. Like, fine. They can tell you whatever. And as long as you're not going to go repeat it without confirming it, which a lot of freaking society does, and that is the most irresponsible thing that you can do as a freaking adult and a human being. But as long as you're not going to go repeating something without confirming it, if it doesn't impact your life and you're not going to do anything about it, then so be it. But when you get an opinion or guidance from somebody and you don't verify the guidance or you don't follow up in some way, shape, or form, and you just blindly listen to what they have to say, it's a very dangerous place to be again. Very dangerous thing to do because you're trusting that this person's knowledge, the person has the knowledge and the application and the results that follow the information that they're giving you. So what we're doing whenever we're just blindly trusting somebody is we're just in a hurry to get some quick feedback, and we just want somebody to tell us what to do. That's all we want. We just want somebody to tell us what to do. a perfect example of this, is maybe with a friend. You're thinking about starting a diet, and you know a friend that's lost 20 pounds. And so you go, "Hey, friend, Sally, what did you do to lose 20 pounds?" And they go, "Oh, I did the keto diet." And you go, "Perfect. That's what I'm going to do." So that's what you go do. You go do the keto diet. That's an easy example. So whenever we do that, whenever we just blindly trust somebody that may or may not actually have any knowledge or any application to the information that they're telling us, when we're doing that, we are degrading our own self-confidence. We are degrading our own self-confidence, and we are degrading our ability to problem solve, which is insanely important if you want to live on this earth, because problems pop up regularly. So if we want to be able to overcome problems and obstacles as they pop up, we need to be able to problem solve. And when we just blindly listen to somebody without digging in a little bit or asking questions or verifying for ourselves, when we do that, we are degrading our own self-confidence in ourselves, in our ability to make a decision, in our ability to find the truth, in our ability to figure out what's fact or fiction, and our ability to problem solve and overcome, overcome obstacles. And when you do that, you become the kind of person who can't figure things out on your own. And when you can't figure anything out on your own, you end up not making progress, and you live a life that is unsatisfying, unfulfilled, and very frustrating because you feel like you just can never get anywhere. But it's not that you're not capable of getting anywhere. It's not that you can't get anywhere. It's that maybe you're just taking opinions from the wrong people. When thinking about Sally, your friend Sally, who happened to lose weight with keto, maybe, just maybe, and unless you ask follow-up questions and you actually dig in deeper, you don't know the answer, but maybe Sally tried 25 other diets before she got to keto. Or maybe Sally had some blood tests done and she had to go on low carb because of her high insulin or high blood sugar or something along those lines. Like maybe it just so happened to be that she fell into the keto diet. You have no clue why she actually did it, why she actually chose the keto diet. So Sally has zero expertise in the thing, zero expertise in the information. She has a little bit of application because she's applied it to her life. So she's gotten results, but she is N of one, meaning she's one person. And so are you. You are one person. So what works for Sally doesn't necessarily work for you. It could, it might, and that's okay. But when you try the keto diet and it doesn't work for you, then what are you going to do? You're going to go ask Betsy over there what she did and then try what she did? And if that doesn't work, then what are you going to do? Go ask Tommy? Like eventually you have to make your own choices, make your own decisions. And you have to start prying and thinking about things yourself. The perceived expert is another important thing to think about here too. A doctor is somebody that a lot of people maybe not look up to, but trust because they believe that the doctor has their best interest at heart. And so if the doctor gives you some feedback on your health and tells you some things to do, but the doctor is fat and overweight and on 3 medications, and they're telling you, giving you information on how you can change your health, why would you trust them? If clearly they have no application, they haven't applied it themselves, or if they have, then that's even more reason why you shouldn't listen. And they don't have the knowledge either, because doctors, while they've gone through tons of schooling and have tons of knowledge in there, what they don't have knowledge about is nutrition and fitness. They have little to no schooling around nutrition and fitness. So to listen to somebody who has, even though they just so happen to be a doctor and they have letters behind their name, to trust them just because they have letters behind their name, to trust them in a topic that they know little to nothing about, is very dangerous because they have no knowledge in their brain about it, and they have no applicable knowledge about it. Now, you might have a doctor who does, and if you do, that you're lucky, but you can ask that question, you can clarify, and you can understand, and you can know. But unless you do that, then you don't know. And on average, and this is the majority of the healthcare system, on average, they don't. They have no clue. Not no, but they have little clue. And they definitely have little application. So that's another trap that we can fall into, is listening to the voice of perceived experts. Even though they may be good in something, we think that they're good in maybe another realm, but we just don't think the idea through. So when we conform and when we follow blindly, we end up living the lives through other people's ideas and other people's opinions and other people's perspectives, instead of living our own lives, through our lens, so that we live a happy and fulfilling life. So what we can do to start to overcome these tendencies, the tendency to conform and the tendency to follow blindly, what we can do in that is twofold. Excuse me. And I think it's worth saying that it's not bad to be part of a group. I'm certainly not saying that. By no means, by actually zero means am I saying that. I owned a fitness studio for 10 years. We called the members there the pack. We purposely built a community of like-minded people, surrounded them with like-minded people, like-minded coaches that were, there to support them and build them into strong, resilient human beings. We did that on purpose, but we did not conform them to anything. And there's a difference. You should definitely surround yourself with like-minded people. You should definitely find yourself a community that you feel comfortable with. But if you are conforming to a community for the sake of conforming, or listening blindly for the sake of listening blindly, instead of thinking through, asking questions, and doing other things that we're going to talk about, then that's when you start to degrade yourself. That's when you start to degrade your identity and you start to degrade your mind. So when it comes to conformity, one of the most, the air is dry and clearly I'm having trouble with it. Let me try again. The most important thing that we can think about when it comes to being part of a group is, does this group match most of my values? Does it match most of my values? Now, of course, that implies that you have values and you know what your values are. If you don't, then you should start there. What are your values? What are the things in life that you look at? If you were to pick out the people that you looked up to most, and you picked out the virtues that they had that you loved, those are the values that you appreciate. So in the group that you're trying to be a part of, if you ask yourself, does this group inhabit most of my values? And the answer is yes, great, be part of the group. Be part of the group because they may make you better. They may make you a better person. And that's exactly what we should be striving for. If the answer is no, then the answer is no. Now, they shouldn't match all of your values. That's tough to do in order to find a group that matches every single one of your values. You're never going to find a human being that matches everything that you believe in, and you're definitely never going to find a group that matches everything that you believe in and all the values that you have in your life. However, you can definitely find a group that matches most, that aligns with you the most. And that's the goal, because when you find the group that aligns with you the most, they empower you to be you and then to become a better person, a better you, not a better them, a better you. If you become part of a group and they tell you you have to become them, turn and run away as fast as possible. As fast as possible. Turn and run. Because if they're telling you you have to become them, then their love is conditional. Their care is conditional. And the last thing that you want to be is in a group where the condition is for you to be like them. Because the second you step out of line is the second that you get booted from the group. So find a group that aligns with your values. If you don't know what your values are, figure that out, and then find the group that aligns primarily with the values that you have. Now, when it comes to trusting blindly, there's a line in management that is worth thinking about here. That line is trust, but verify. Trust, but verify. This is something that I bought into in my business world. Excuse me. Trust, but verify. Now, in the business world, that means for a manager or an owner or whatever, that you should trust everybody around you. Trust that they're going to do the work necessary, but verify that they do it. Verify that it gets done and that it gets done to the expectations of the organization, meaning it gets done to the standards of the organization. Trust, but verify. So in this context, when we're talking about following people's opinions blindly, if someone gives you an opinion, verify the opinion, or verify the context, or verify the result, or verify that it works. For instance, if you're talking to Sally and Sally says, yes, I did the keto diet, you go, well, how'd you come upon the keto diet? Well, I did a bunch of research and blah, 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 and here's what happened. You go, oh, okay, where did you get the research, or where'd you find the research? Oh, I looked at these sites. Okay, good. So you can go look at the sites yourself. If she goes, well, I tried 25 different diets and then I just happen to fall on the keto diet, you go, okay, maybe I should do some research before I actually think about doing the keto diet instead of just trying a bunch of them and then finally falling on one. The doctor is another person that you should trust but verify. If they're trying to give you information on how to improve your health and fitness, you can ask, is this something that you do? And if the answer is no, then you go, well, why don't you do it? And if they tell you, well, they give you some sort of excuse, then you go, okay, maybe it's actually something useful and I can look into it later. But if you say, hey, is this something you do? And they say yes, and then you go, how's that working out for you? Then you can come up with maybe a different idea. Because the point is to be able to get to a conclusion of facts, a conclusion of something that's helpful and useful, instead of just following along, instead of just listening to what somebody is telling you. So it's when you have friends, you want to be able to trust your friends, and it is definitely worth trusting them. Trusting your friends and trusting your family, trusting doctors and trusting that the healthcare system wants what's best for you. That's fine. But you should verify that they do. You should verify the opinion that they're giving you, the opinion that they're giving you. And verifying on your end or on their end doesn't mean and shouldn't mean that you don't believe in them. If they get all haughty and worked up because you're asking them to verify, then they may not be the person that you want in your life. If a doctor gets angry and upset because you're like, hey, what about this? Or what about that? Or can I follow up on this question? And they get worked up on it, may not be the right doctor for you. Because you should be able to verify the information that they're saying, the opinion that they're giving you. Because if it hasn't been applied to real life in some way, shape, or form, either by them or by a number of different people, preferably more than just one person, then it's maybe not reliable information. So again, the point in this is to be able to build our self-worth as a human being. It seems maybe a little weird to say that, but it is small things like this, where you put your hands into someone else's or a group's life, and you do it somewhat unconsciously, where your confidence and self-esteem start to slowly slip away, and your identity starts to slowly slip away, and what you believe you're capable of starts to slowly slip away, and who you believe you are starts to slowly slip away. And as that happens over time, just trickles away, piece by piece, drop by drop, as that happens, there becomes a point where you kind of wake up and you go, what the hell am I? Like, where am I? And what the hell, who am I? What's going on? And then you start to dig out of the trench, which is you can do, which is possible, but it is challenging. So the sooner that you recognize that, in these small ideas that we're talking about, in these things, the simple act of just questioning, the simple act of verifying, the simple act of trying not to conform and having your set of values and following your set of values and picking a group with your set of values, the simple act of doing those kinds of things, that builds your confidence, your self-esteem, your self-worth, your self-responsibility as a human being, so that you can accomplish and be more and believe in yourself and know that you are worth more and know that you are capable of more. And that's where a lot of society is right now, is that they just don't believe in themselves. They don't believe in their capabilities. They don't believe in their self-worth. They don't have the self-confidence. They don't have the self-esteem. And it's in things like this where it gets lost. It's in areas like this where it gets swept away and swept under the rug, and we just don't pay fucking attention to it. But it's worth paying attention to, because you're worth the effort, and you're worth the sacrifice, and you're worth asking questions, and you're worth verifying the information that you're getting, and you're worth knowing that what you're going to do is going to work. And until you start, excuse me, and until you start to make those decisions on your own and take your life into your hands, it will always seem like life is just slapping you in the face, one slap at a time. So take it back. Take it back. Take your self-confidence back. Take your self-esteem back. Stop conforming. Start asking questions, and start figuring out what is best for you, and start impressing the number one person on this earth that needs to be impressed, and that is you. That's all I have for you today. Remember, go review this podcast. You can give us up to a 5-star review. That will help us spread the message, help more people, and get their lives on track as well. So go out there, take action, win today.